roll, 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 roll. There we go. Good job. So you can see now Charlie, like with my horse Stella or even Sass, they have such smooth gaits that when they trot or canter, it's just so easy to sit. But with Charlie, I found it a little bit difficult to sit his trot and his canter. It was hard to find his rhythm. It was hard to stay in that movement. So that's why talking out loud really helped me improve my riding overall, but especially in the canter. So today I want to talk about the canter. I'm going to demonstrate on Charlie how I sit the canter without bouncing. First, I think once you understand what your seat is doing in the canter, I think that it will improve your canter. So yeah, just warming him up. He hasn't been ridden in a couple weeks. So what your hips are doing is, what they're basically doing is a backward circle. So because the canter is a 3-beat gait, it's like up, forward, back, down. Up, forward, back, down. So imagine like you're pushing a swing. You know how when you're pushing a swing with your hips, it's kind of like a up, forward, and you're coming back, and then you come down. So if you watch in my seat, you'll see that my hips are switching from back to front, back to front. So my hips are doing a backward circle. So I like to, if I'm helping a beginner rider learn how to canter, I like them to talk out loud, because if they're talking, then they're breathing. Because that's another mistake that I made and I see people make, is that when they transition up to a gait, especially the canter, they automatically hold their breath, and the horse feels that. So if you're talking to yourself, then you're going to be breathing. So that's another thing that will help with your canter. Come on, bud. So one more tip before I take them out to demonstrate. If you can video yourself, and I'll still do this from time to time, even when I'm not doing a video, I'll record myself to see if I'm making any mistakes or see, what the horse is doing. And I was doing this the other day where I was cantering and I was kind of flapping my arms a little bit. It wasn't really big, but because my arms were loose, I was kind of flapping. So that's something I want to work on. So if you can, film yourself and watch, watch to see if you're making any mistakes, look to see if there's anything that you can improve on, or even for your horse. So those are some tips that can help you to improve not just your canter, but overall riding. Talk to yourself and film yourself. Okay. So now that you understand what your hips are doing, first I want to go over a couple mistakes that people make and why you're probably bouncing in the canter. First, this is what I would do. My hips would lock up. So that's why I started talking to myself, because my hips would lock up and I would not be moving with my horse. I wouldn't be following that saddle. I wouldn't be moving with the motion of his back. So that would cause me to bounce. So that's why I started talking to myself. I would tell my hips to move. So now, when I'm helping somebody learn how to canter, if I have a nervous rider, talking to themselves, they're breathing, it helps them to relax, it tells their body what to do. So that's I'm telling you, that's a really big tip for improving your riding and the canter. Okay. So I'm going to take Charlie out here, and the reasons why people mostly bounce is either there's some kind of tension, some brace. Those are the main reasons why, or you're just not following that movement like I was locking my hips, but that was tension. So it's either tension or brace. And just like, when I'm transitioning from the trot to the canter, my weight in my stirrups hardly changes, if at all. So a lot of times if you're bouncing, check to see how much weight you have in those stirrups, because if you are pushing on those stirrups, it's going to bring you out of the saddle, and you're gonna start flapping against that saddle. Your butt's gonna start bouncing. So check to make sure you don't have any tension. Make sure that you're not bracing against those stirrups. Make sure that you're not gripping with your legs. If you're gripping with your legs, something that you can do that can help is that, and I recommend that you do this in an enclosed area if you're still learning how to canter. Do this in a round pen, or do this on a lunge line so it's controlled. But what you can do is, if that's that's what you struggle with, is you grip. Take your legs off your horse for a stride or two, then bring them back. Take them off for a stride or two, bring them back, and that will help teach you not to grip with your legs. If you find that you brace against the stirrups what you can do is kick out your stirrups. And again, go in a controlled environment if you're not very comfortable in the canter. You know, just I think this really helps if you do brace against those stirrups, because when we become tense or nervous, that's one of the first things that we do is we push against those stirrups, and that brings us up out of the saddle. So by taking out your, kicking out your stirrups, this is going to give you a heavier seat. So, that's something that can help. Okay. So it's getting hot, the flies are coming out, so let's get this done. Charlie's already starting to sweat, and he's only been working for a few minutes. So as I transition into the canter, I just put a little bit of weight on my inside stirrup. My outside leg goes back, and I push them up into the canter. So I don't want that much weight in my stirrup. My heels are still down, but I'm not pushing them down. So watch my hips. My hips are going to be swishing from back to front of the saddle. So they're swishing back to front, back to front, back to front. And if you watch my hips are going up, forward, back, down, up, forward, back, down, up, forward, back, down. So it's like a backward circle. I keep myself upright, look in the direction I want to go. I make sure that I'm breathing. I don't want any tension in my body. I want to follow that movement. I want to stay in rhythm. If I get out of rhythm with him, I'm going to start bouncing. So I want to stay in rhythm. I want to stay with that movement. I want to follow his back. So it's important that when you're cantering, you don't want to put too much weight in those stirrups. I want to keep a heavier seat, and this is what works for me. This is how I prevent myself from bouncing in the trot or the canter, is by keeping my heels underneath me, keeping most of my weight in my seat, sitting upright. Couple things that really helps is if you can film yourself. So I like to film myself because I still struggle a little bit. I do have a tendency to like to lean in that circle a little bit, and I do, if my arms get too relaxed, they'll start flapping a little bit. So filming yourself will help you improve your overall riding, so not just in the canter. So that's how I sit the canter. That's how I prevent myself from bouncing. Stay relaxed, make sure you're breathing, try to stay upright, look in the direction you want to go, keep your heels underneath you, and follow that motion. It's a rhythm. Everything's a rhythm with a horse. You got to stay in rhythm with that horse. So make sure that your hips are moving. So if you need to talk to yourself, tell your body what to do. So I really hope that helped. And until next time, Charlie and I thank you for watching. Bye-bye.